everybody, and welcome to another week of Let's Talk. I am your host, author Dre Lett. Thank you for joining me for another week where we inform, inspire, and motivate. I'm so glad you guys could be spending tonight with me. Come on in and have a seat and let's talk. Each and every week, you can view my show on Facebook Live or on YouTube and pre recordings on Facebook, which is the page Let's Talk with Author Dre Lett, scrolling down there at the bottom. So, again, super excited to have you guys tune in with us tonight. We have a special treat tonight, you guys. Oh my goodness. Yes, today is Informative Friday. You say, well, what is that? This is the night where we give you some good information that's going to help you in each and every way possible to live your life, to be productive, to abide by the law so you don't get a ticket or go to jail, all that good stuff. So it's Informative Friday. And every so often we have an Informative Friday where we're informing you about something you need to know. So we have Judge Lambert and Officer G. They are here to talk about how to avoid the most common traffic mistakes that will help prevent you from getting a traffic ticket or possibly being arrested or going to jail. They'll be on the virtual stage in a few minutes, so super excited to have them with us. So, you guys, and what's hot? Oh my goodness, what's hot? So much is going on. Like I tell you, every week is just so much, and I filter through all the stuff and try to find what's really really hot to talk about. So after months of anticipation, the first official trailer has finally arrived for the latest look at the life of iconic Whitney Houston, my girl. Oh my goodness. British actress and BAFTA award winner Naomi Aki is stepping into the legendary shoes of Whitney Houston in the lead role called I Want to Dance with Somebody. Oh, this trailer is amazing. This movie is set to be released in theaters on December 21st, and I cannot wait. The film is described as a no holds barred portrait of the complex and multifaceted woman behind the voice, while traveling and inspiring the story of a New Jersey choir girl who went on to become one of the best selling and most awarded recording artists in music history. I'm so excited. I love Whitney Houston. I hated all the things that she went through, unfortunately. I just really hope that this movie tells the real truth, just give the facts, straight truth. Don't sugarcoat anything because she did have quite a journey. She was an amazing singer, performer. I loved her, and I'm just so sorry that she's no longer with us, but I can't wait to see the movie. So you guys stay tuned for that. I think it's going to be in theaters first only, and then it'll probably be on cable. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be exciting. So, in other what's hot news, and this is per the Shade Room, right? I went to the website. This is a hot, hot mess. If this don't, make you angry, man, I don't know what will. So, Iowa teen, her name is pronounced Peter Lewis, a 17-year-old human trafficking victim, has been sentenced to 5 years of supervised probation and was ordered to pay $150,000 in restitution to the family of the man who raped her. Is that not crazy? According to NPR, Lewis was initially charged with first degree murder for fatally stabbing her accused rapist, 37-year-old Zachary Brooks, back in June of 2020. Her sentence for that charge has been deferred in exchange for probation and a mandatory restitution payment under Iowa state law. So she's got to pay her rapist. You got to be kidding me. Despite the gruesome nature of the case, Polk County Judge David M. Porter said this court is presented with no other option as is it pertains to the whopping $150,000 payment. Now, they did go on to say that people have raised a GoFundMe page because of what she went through. The travesty is just so sad. So she apparently have so much money that's been given to her that has been raised to where she can go to college, buy a new home, that kind of thing. But what just burns me to no end is that the judge is saying she's got to pay $150,000 because she stabbed him. That's the state of the law. It's like, come on, you guys, we got to change the laws. We got to do something. You guys make sure you vote in midterm elections. If your state hasn't voted yet, I know in Georgia, we're coming up, I believe, in November. And when they are the presidential elections, vote, you guys, because that's the only way we're going to change these crazy laws. There's no way that young lady should have to pay. And I might add, she's African American. There's no way she should have to pay those fees after being human trafficked and, being raped. That's just ridiculous. So we're going to lift her up in prayer, and we're going to lift that state up. Okay. If y'all watching this from Iowa, y'all do better. Go out there and vote and change those laws. Okay. All right. So moving on with the Let's Talk fam. I see quite a few of you have tuned in. You guys make sure you put in the comment section, put where you're checking in from so I can give you a shout out. If you're too shy, I totally understand. It's all good, because when we come back from our brief commercial break, I want to give you guys a shout out, because my Let's Talk fam, I love you guys to pieces. You guys are always, always there. So I appreciate you. And if we got some new viewers, give a shout out as well. So we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back soon as we hear from our sponsors. All right. That was from our sponsors. If you guys ever want to have your ad on the show, just reach out to us, and you can definitely, whether it's a shout out or you have a flyer that you want us to read, or I don't know, whatever that you may want to advertise. The information scrolling down at the bottom. You can send us a message on the messenger on the Facebook page, Let's Talk with Author Dre Lett, or you can go to dtlproduct.net and send something to us and contact us, and somebody will reach back out to you. Okay. All right. Super excited about those sponsors. Great ads. Okay, so let's check and see who is checking in from the Let's Talk fam. I see several you're watching. Okay. Hey, cousin Diane. She's checking in from Vegas. She says, Happy Friday, everyone. Las Vegas checking in. Can't believe it's the middle of the month already. I know, right? Time is zipping by, flying by. Mommy in love, she says she's watching from Mark's Man Cave. But no, she's watching from Vegas. Mwah. Let's see. A baby girl, hey, she's checking in from Atlanta. Love you. Mwah. And my girl Wanda, she's checking in from ATL. And we have a new viewer that's not scared to say hello. Her name is Venice. She's checking in from Oakland, California. Hey, lady, how are you? Thank you for joining. And there's quite a few of you checking in as well. I can always see who's all looking in, but I won't give you a shout out. If you scared, I totally get it. But I thank you for your love and support. Definitely. And somebody else, my husband, he's not checking in. I wonder what's up with that, y'all. Anywho, also in a couple weeks we got something big we want to announce. In a couple weeks, I'm super excited. It's hard to tell, when you were younger and it was Christmas time and you bought your mom or your dad or somebody in your family a gift, and it was like, it seemed like forever. You had to keep your mouth closed. You couldn't say anything until Christmas Day, but you wanted to say what it was that you bought them, right? But that's how I'm feeling right now. Like, I want to just make the announcement, but I gotta wait. So continue to tune in and you will hear soon. It's something big, it's amazing, and it's truly a blessing from God I want to share with you guys. Okay. All right. So moving on to our guests, I'm so excited to have them. Let me give them a formal introduction. That indeed. Let me bring up their amazing photos. There they are. Okay, so let's start with my first guest. My first guest is Judge Lambert. She hails from Northern California. She obtained her juris, I'm getting tongue tied tonight, juris degree, which is also known as a law degree, from Willamette University College of Law in 1998. Judge Lambert attended undergraduate college at University of California, Berkeley, and obtained a BA degree in sociology in 1994. She is an administrative hearing officer in Northern California. Judge Lambert presides over juvenile traffic matters in the Bay Area from arraignment to sentencing. She is also a hearing officer for the Assessment Appeals Board in the Bay Area. She also conducts independent administrative hearings for local municipalities, including Skelly hearings. Judge Lambert is a proud, long-standing resident of the Northern California Bay Area. She volunteers with various organizations throughout the Bay Area, including the Department of Veteran Affairs. She is a cyclist and has participated in several charity bike rides throughout California. Okay, and our next guest, Officer G, he is from the Detroit, Michigan area. He attended Henry Ford Community College in 1983. He joined the police department in 1987 in one of the largest major cities in the United States. Officer G has over 35 years of experience patrolling the urban streets of several zones throughout the city. In 1989, Officer G was assigned to protect and become one of the bodyguards for one of the most influential African American mayors in the United States. After the horrific incidents of 9/11, Officer G was proudly assigned to one of the largest airports in the United States. He worked alongside federal officers to ensure the safety of the airport and its travelers. He also provided private escorts to high profile individuals throughout the airport. Although Officer G is retired, he still does policing part time. He loves talking to and encouraging the youth to stay on the straight and narrow. In his spare time, he enjoys adult roller skating and is widely known for his OG Detroit style skating. He also loves participating in his Corvette Club, in which he is the founder and CEO. So, without further ado, you guys, help me welcome to the stage Judge Lambert and Officer G. Hey!
Good
Thank you
evening.
so much for joining us on Let's Talk. I'm so honored that you guys are here. I have to remember to just be, upright and not laugh a lot because this is a serious matter, right? Oh my gosh. So you're smiling, Judge Lambert. That tells me that although you're a judge and you're very serious what you do, you can still smile and laugh. And also, Officer G, you seem like you can be laid back as well. That's cool. All right, so let's get into this. And guys, make sure you put your comments in the or questions in the comment section. And also, those that are watching this pre-recorded, if you guys got any questions, both of them will go back and look through the comments and try to answer what they can. But let's get right on into the fun stuff. This is things that we basically, as we're drivers on the street, these are common mistakes that some people make, and they don't realize that they can get a ticket or they can go to jail or be arrested. So, I guess we could start off with the first one. Do you guys want me to put up the diagram you wanted me to put, and we talk about some of these things?
That's fine. Start right away with the diagram. We can just chit chat.
Okay.
First, let me say thank you for having me. I really appreciate being here. And of course, everything that I am going to say today is my personal opinion. I'm appearing here in my personal capacity, and the views that I might espouse during the course of this show are mine and mine alone, and not the views of any court, city, county, state, or federal government in perpetuity. Just a little disclaimer before we get on the road.
I understand. I totally understand. Officer G, do you have any disclaimers?
No, I don't have any disclaimers. Everything that I'm going to say
will be used against you.
Everything I'm going to say it's public record. It's on the internet. It's there.
Okay. Awesome. So there's so many questions and so many things that take place, as we're driving. What is the number one thing that you guys would say is like a dead absolute no? What would you say, Judge Lambert?
Ooh, that's a tough question. And for everybody who's not clear, I am in the state of California, so a lot of my comments will be limited to what the rules and regulations are in the state of California. One of my big things is, well, it's clear that I bike from the introduction, and I'm always mindful that whether you ride a pedal bike or a motorcycle, when you're riding your bike, you should ride like a driver. You should do things that drivers would expect. And as a driver, I try to be alert and pay attention. Specifically in California, motorcycles are allowed to lane split, which means they can weave in between the cars in the lane of traffic, which presents a particular level of caution. So my caveat is always drive with caution, recognizing that you're operating a motor vehicle that has a significant weightage and could end in life or death.
Wow, that is deep. I know when I was out there vacationing, we were sitting on the interstate, and my children and I, and we were in standstill traffic, and we were just talking, and all of a sudden we hear this loud motorcycle going, and it was literally driving in between the cars. And I had never seen anything like that. I live in Georgia, and they, I don't believe, Officer G, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're allowed to do that here, but in California, I was like, whoa, like all it takes is somebody to swerve and it's a wrap.
Exactly. It hails back to the time when motorcycles were air cooled. And so that if they were stalled in traffic, they would overheat. Of course, being stopped on the side of the road is never a good thing. That presents its own level of danger. And so they're allowed to weave in and out the traffic. And they're not supposed to be going more than, I think it's 10 to 15 miles faster than the traffic in the lane. But with COVID, we've seen people doing quite a bit faster than that.
Ooh. Anything you want to add to that, Officer G? Is there a huge no that you say, no, don't do?
Don't get into a match with the police. Over 50% of the situations, bad situations, people mouthing off, going back and forth with the police. If that needs to be discussed in court, if he's going to give you a ticket. If he's going to give you a break, he's not going to give you the break with you going back and forth with him.
Absolutely. As the person in court, I agree with that 100%. Bring it to me. Bring your disputes here to the people's court.
Yeah, correct. Your attitude plays, a whole lot in that. You just
I
don't know.
can always tell when there was some interaction during the ticket, because in my state, I often find that the officers make notes on the border of the citation, and you can
Correct.
see the notes so that when they're called to court, they'll have some notes to remember you by, so that they'll be able to say exactly what it was that caused your citation. And
Mm.
I always know that's going to be a good trial. It's going to be interesting. The officer's going to come to court with something to say.
Also, it's not your right to drive; it's a privilege. So
Oh,
Yeah.
people figure, hey, it's my right to drive. No, it's considered a privilege.
And
wow.
DMVs everywhere alike share that mantra, and will be
Yeah,
happy to relieve you of your privilege.
Ooh, that's a
yeah.
deep statement. Like you said, everybody thinks this is my right to. Wow, you're right. It is a privilege. Wow,
It
that's
is a
deep.
privilege, and it should be treated as such because it's a serious matter.
Oh my goodness. Well, with that, we're gonna put this diagram up, and we're gonna get into this because you guys, just talking to them off camera, it was amazing some of the things I learned from them. Okay, so here and some questions also was submitted to me prior to the show, so
Oh,
I'm
great.
I'm gonna definitely bring those out. So one of the questions was the gore. Somebody got a ticket because the officer said they crossed the gore. What exactly is that, and why is that, up for a citation?
Well, you want to start, officer?
No, you can go ahead, Judge.
Okay, thank you. So, for those of you who don't drive or don't know, the gore point is the space that represents a triangle, like when there is an entry lane onto the freeway and the lane of the freeway form a triangle. It's almost like an imaginary island. It's usually solid white line in my state, and that's called the gore point. And most often, people drive through it when they want to get on the freeway faster, or in the event of an accident, they'll pull over into it. But that space is not really there for occupation. It's more of a safety space, and hanging out there can be quite dangerous, because what it does is it obstructs the view of the people who are getting onto the freeway from the lane of traffic that they're about to approach, and it prevents them from merging successfully and hopefully without incident.
Hmm. So, Judge Lambert, where on the diagram? I know you can't really point, but where would you say on that diagram that is? Would that be those solid white lines?
So if this was a freeway and
Okay.
you were getting onto the freeway, and
Hmm.
let's just say you were in the line of red cars, uh, which I believe is to the right,
Hmm.
at least it is on my view. And
Yeah.
let's say the freeway lane was where the car with the X is, and you were going to
Hmm.
merge into that space. Where the green and the trees are is usually where the gore point is, so
Hmm.
that your view as a red car is unobstructed from the traffic that you're going to be joining.
Oh, and they cut through that area trying to. Okay. Okay.
They do. I've seen people cut through it to avoid the carpool lights, which is a no. Which, or in yeah, I think you guys call it out here, high occupancy vehicle lane.
HOV. Hmm.
HOV. We call it carpool because it requires more than one person. But ours are regulated with meters. So sometimes people will want to jump the meter and they will cross through the gore point in order to do that. Very dangerous, because again, when we talk about driving, people have a right to expect that you're going to obey the law, and their reaction time is not as great when you do something that is breaking the law, because there's a lack of expectation for it. If you're in stop and go traffic, people expect the car in front of them to stop. They do not expect a car to jump the imaginary island and gore point in order to jump in the lane of traffic. But I've seen people do it.
Anything you want to add to that, Officer G?
You see it all the time. It's very common. It's just a matter if the police want to pull you over for that. Uh, they can, but it's so busy sometimes. People just get away with it, and then a lot of people, what they'll do, say you're on the street, and we talked about this, where the line is so long, and they want to make a right hand turn at the light, but it's so long, they'll cut through the gas station parking lot, which is illegal. So
Absolutely.
the other private property, or to avoid the line.
No.
Yes.
It's very common.
I'm guilty. Oops. Really? So if I
Yes.
don't just sit way back and I just, oh, wow.
The privilege of driving requires patience.
It does.
Wow. I
Yes.
learned something. Oh my goodness.
Another big one, another huge one that is very common. The officer gave me that ticket, and I didn't run the red light. I just did not run the red light. And really, the way it works, well, when I went into it, it was yellow. Caution. If you
Okay.
don't exit on that diagram, that square right there, if
Mhm.
if you're not completely out of it and it turns red while you're in that intersection, it's running the red light. It's running the red
So,
light.
for those of you watching, if you are the red car and you're proceeding behind the car with the X, you need to pass not only where the car with the X is, but you need to make it all the way to where the car on the opposite side is, clearing the crosswalk. Excuse me, also known as the limit line. And while the light is not red, the minute it's red, if you're still in the intersection, you have ran the light. And in San Francisco, yellow lights are 3.5 seconds,
Yeah.
and the intersections are quite large. If you can see the yellow, you almost are guaranteed not to be able to make it.
Okay, I got a question. So what if you got a sports car? Can you gun it and try to beat the light?
You can, but you know what? Studies show that between the time you see the yellow light and then your eye processes it to your brain, that
It's
then
over.
transmits to your foot and if you're driving a stick shift, to your hands to coordinate that gunning, it's too late.
Oh, so you just better off just sitting there and just waiting the
You
next.
you are better off not clipping the light, especially in a city like San Francisco where we have red light cameras and they're generally known to be current. The maintenance is known to be accurate, and the custodian of records will show up. And also, in California, I don't know if you guys have this in Georgia, but in California, even with the red light tickets, an officer has to observe the violation. So even though you get a picture, there's a recording. The officer watches the infraction on the recording and signs the ticket. So ours aren't done by, at least in San Francisco, they're not done by that fake system that was doing some of the municipalities.
Wow. Everybody, I just saw a bunch of wows, the emoji with the mouth wide open. A lot of people didn't realize that. Oh my gosh. Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
speaking of
Here's
things
another
that
one.
people don't realize, go ahead.
But here's another one that's
Mhm.
huge here in Georgia. They think everybody have, you're violating my rights. When you pull it over and that officer writes you a traffic citation, a ticket, you're required to sign that ticket. And it's not admitting guilt. It's just
Oh,
saying
tell
that
them
I
what
received.
happens when they refuse to sign.
Oh,
What,
go
what
to jail.
happens?
They're arrested. Yeah.
So almost
Because
everywhere, California is no exception.
that signature is in lieu of bail. In other words,
And it's
that
in lieu of
signature is,
arrest.
yes.
No, are you wait, stop. So if somebody refuses to sign the ticket, no.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
It's not admitting guilt.
Right.
It's just saying I received this ticket. You fight that
And
in
I
court.
agree to appear in court
Correct.
because the signature means that if you don't show up and I call your case, if you're an adult, we will issue an FTA. We will issue what I like to call 3 hot and a cot invitation, also known as a bench warrant, where we won't have to worry about you showing up because a lovely deputy is going to process you to court. Oh, so that you can be there. You'll have housing, you'll have meals, and you'll be on your way to court on time.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's just best to just sign it. Just sign it.
Go ahead and
Sign it. Come to court. We can talk about what happened. We can talk about what the options are, whether you're eligible for traffic school, which in the state of California is 18 months from date of citation. So that you can keep that point off your record. In San Francisco, we also have a fairly hefty discount schedule available at first appearances, which is quite lovely. Our red light camera tickets are $489. and they often reduce to less than $300.
Ooh, $300. Good Lord. Here's a good one. One of the questions that somebody asked me. Okay, so say for example, you're on the interstate and we're in Georgia and people be speeding. Say you're on the interstate and the speed limit is, I don't know, 65, but everybody's doing like 78, 80, and you're like, well, I gotta go with the flow of the traffic. I mean,
It's great until Officer G sees you and lights you up, and then you come to court and you tell me I was going with the flow of traffic, and I go, so you're admitting that you were speeding and so was everybody else.
Oh, that's
We
deep.
just got you this time.
Listen, one officer gets one car.
That's it.
Doesn't have if they're not doing a speed trap or have a plane, they're not going to get that many.
So, Officer G, how do you determine which car you want to grab?
Now,
Are you mad? Huh?
I said, that's the question.
I mean, most officers, if they're riding and you see a car just fly right past you as if
that's
doesn't see
automatic.
you, that's the one you're going to get first. Yeah.
That's an automatic.
Now,
I know that.
If he was speeding and he saw me and he's like, whoa, and he slowed down. Okay. That's respectful. You still might get pulled over. But if you just fly right past me as if like, whatever.
Oh, that's a ticket for sure.
And you're going to get it,
And on that ticket, you might get more than one count, depending on how the interaction goes down.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, because you God forbid you forgot your wallet, so you can't present your license. Your phone is in a dead zone. You don't have your proof of insurance, which we allow in California digitally, which I always tell people download that in advance so that you don't need cell service to be able to get to it, and you should favorite it so you can find it quickly. Because if he gets tired of waiting, he's going to say, well, I'll just write it on the citation. You can show the judge.
Oh. Now, one of my girlfriends, their adult child was 20 in their 20s, and their insurance lapsed, right? I guess they forgot. And so the police pulls them over because I guess they had a busted tail lamp or what have you. And so he's like, okay, let me see proof of insurance. And the young adult was like, it lapsed. And the officer was like, well, I'm towing your car in. And they start crying. So he says, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to walk back to my car. When I come back, if you don't have insurance, i.e. call the insurance company, pay the money, da, 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 da. So is that just being a nice officer? Or, I mean, what would you have done, Officer G, honestly?
Well, if I had the time, if the story was believable, I would try to be reasonable and give them a reasonable amount of time to make that connection. But I can't wait all day. And if you don't give me that information that I need in a reasonable amount of time, we're gonna impound your vehicle.
Also, wouldn't you agree, Officer G, that the location might be determinative? Because how long we're going to stand on the side of the freeway is different than how long we're going to be in the Walmart parking lot, if that's where
absolutely. Yes, a danger factor there for both.
It also depends on what the assignment is for today, because what I find is if. Like I just went to a class at the National Judicial College in Reno, sponsored by the National Highway Traffic Safety Association organization, something like that, NHTSA. And they are responsible for a lot of the highway traffic safety laws. They often give out grants for increased enforcement at particular times in particular ways. They have a bicycle program. They have a interstate highway program. Our big one where I live is Highway 80. If the parameters of the assignment that day don't allow for as much time as you might need, he might not have it to give to you.
Oh,
yeah.
Ouch.
I can see that. Now, another big one, I know we're jumping around to traffic situations, but a huge one, is a stop sign.
Ooh, let's get our diagram up. We don't need a diagram for that. Okay, so I'll tell you.
I'm gonna put it up.
No, we don't need a diagram for well, yeah, we do need a diagram for the stop sign, and here's why. So first off, we have this thing, at least in California, and I'm sure you all have it here, Officer G. We call it the limit line. For non-lawyers, non-drivers, it's basically as you approach the intersection, it is the first line of the crosswalk as you approach.
Okay.
So if you look at the beige car that is slightly behind the beige car with the X on it, you see it's over the limit line.
Mm-hmm.
That is not the first place your car should come to a complete stop, because at that point you've already ran the stop sign. You might as well just go at full
Yeah.
speed.
Oh.
Now, I don't know. We could get Officer G's perspective. You know, if he's on the side street and he sees you right there, and you see him, and you screech to a halt, he might let you pass with that, Officer G.
If it were me, because I understand, I would try to be reasonable, but it's based on your attitude when I pull you over. And then some people want to argue you down and tell you I stopped. Okay, let's just say that vehicle stopped. No, they didn't stop.
They didn't
I
stop.
stopped.
Here's the definition of
There's
a stop.
Go ahead. A
In
complete. Go ahead.
California, in order to stop, because we are famous for rolling stops, and a rolling stop is not a stop. It is a slow roll.
A yield.
And if you've ever been in the car or driven in snow, you know what a slow roll is, because people who live where it snows don't completely stop, because then they can't get enough traction to get their car started.
Yeah.
Moving forward again. So everybody who drives in snows knows the difference between a stop and a slow roll. But a stop means the forward motion of your car has arrested. And what I like to tell people is a well-trained, experienced observer will notice that the car sets back just a tiny bit. And it's almost an imperceptible amount if you're not looking for it. But trust and believe that an officer that's been assigned to stop sign duty that day is looking for that setback.
Oh,
that's right.
Oh my gosh. Well,
No
while we're
setback, you didn't stop. And interestingly enough, I will have to say that I recently switched cars, and my car now has a digital speedometer. And you can actually see that the car, when you think you're stopping, is still at 2 miles an hour.
1, 2, 3.
Right. You have to wait for that sucker to go to 0 before it sets back. It's really fascinating.
Well, and while we're on that topic, okay, so what if you're in the Walmart parking lot and they got the stop signs right there, and let's just say you roll that? Can I get a ticket if somebody does that?
Officer G?
Not here in Georgia, because it's private. There's several times you can receive a citation on private property at a mall or a grocery store. It's like it's DUI. Handicap parking,
yes,
failure to
handicap
homicide by
parking.
vehicle.
In California, handicap parking is a parking ticket. It's not a moving violation.
No, it's not. It's not.
Okay, you can always get a parking ticket on private property.
Yeah.
I can roll a stop sign at Walmart.
Well, it's not safe, and if you cause an accident, it's not going to look good on your permanent record.
Correct.
And the DMV has a permanent record. Don't ever be confused about it.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Now,
the devil doesn't need an advocate.
If
He's persuasive all by himself.
You are driving recklessly, that's one you can get.
Like doing donuts in the parking lot, like you see those
lane drag. It's one,
where the tires bring traction with the cement. No,
right, exactly.
This is in Tokyo. We don't drift.
Now, Judge Lambert, you see a lot of that with the juvenile court. Do you see a lot of those kids doing that late at night, doing the donuts and so forth?
I don't actually in San Francisco see a lot of that. What I have seen is a lot of speeding. Because the freeways with COVID and the pandemic are less congested, so there's more space. And the other thing that I see all the time also is restricted driving violations. So in the state of California, when you get a driver's license for the first time as a minor, your driver's license is restricted for the first 12 months. You can't drive with passengers under 20. You can't drive between the hours of 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. absent what we would call in the know exigent circumstances. And how I explain that to juvenile defendants is, if it's life or death and you need to take someone under 20 to a hospital so they don't die, and it's midnight, you should drive them.
Okay.
because
here,
when Officer G sees you, he's going to understand,
right.
for example, if the person is bleeding and a gunshot, knife wound, unconscious, he's going to understand the necessity of the exception. But going to school on a random Tuesday, that's not the reason you have minors in your car.
Mm.
And interestingly enough, our DMV website, I noticed, because it was brought to my attention by the parent of a defendant. Go parents who advocate without law licenses. But one of the parents was pointing out that it's written in a way that makes it seem as though your parent or guardian can give permission for you to take your siblings to school. However, if you look at the actual vehicle code, it is very clear that this is an exigent circumstances exception to prevent sort of loss of life.
Oh. Anything you want to add to that, Officer G?
We're going back to the private property at the grocery store, the mall. It's also something here in Georgia in the hit and run section of our traffic. It talks about failure to render aid. It's your duty. If you were involved, you can't just, oh, I hit that car and I just took off. You are supposed to do something. All right.
I don't think that we're a duty to render aid state, but you can't just leave either. Like I don't have to subject myself to liability for not getting the CPR right, but I can't just be like, oh, that was too bad, bye.
Right. So they wanted you to do something, and whether it's a phone call, you can't just, ignore it.
We also have you can leave a note if the car is parked and there's nobody there. I have never seen a note on my car with obvious damage or heard of someone leaving a note. I'm sure people do.
They do. Do you want to take that one, Officer G?
They left a note on my personal car. They hit my car, and I'm thinking that the young lady may have thought maybe cameras were there. Mm-hmm. And she was young. She gave me all of her father's information and everything.
She gave you all his information.
Yeah, right. So it was taken care of, Well, she could have just left, but it worked out, which that's rare.
It is.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's rare.
What about these, millennials? I hate to pick on y'all, if y'all, the ones that are watching. What about the millennials? They're driving and, you teach your children, your adult children or your teenagers, you teach them what to do when you're pulled over, to follow the rules, to be respectful to the officer and so forth. And let's just say they got a passenger just running their mouth. We ain't in it. And the driver's doing what they're supposed to do, but the friend or the person in the passenger seat just going off at the mouth. Is that driver held? Are they responsible for that passenger going crazy?
Well, yes and no. To the extent that the passenger is in the car, they have a certain responsibility, but it's just not, as they would say, I'm from Oakland, as they would say in the town, it's not a good look. And I have myself been the passenger in the car with the officer on the passenger side for safety reasons, going, you can't say anything. You can't say anything. Just be quiet. Because it's not the time nor the place, and I am certainly well aware of that. But, the training, the lawyer that lives deep inside of me wants to say, no, you don't have probable cause. You were wrong.
And, you have to ask yourself, someone says, well, do you have probable cause? And they'll tell you, well, yeah, but if you define probable cause, it's those set of facts and circumstances that would lead a reasonable or prudent person to believe that a crime has been or was about to be committed. And it has to be more than mere suspicion, but less than actual certainty.
That's right.
Read that back. That's what probable cause is. And if you don't have that, you're wrong.
Ooh.
That is absolutely right, which is why one of the obligations as a driver, at least in the state of California, is that you are actually supposed to check out your vehicle before you get in the car. You're supposed to know that your tail light's not broken. You're supposed to know that both your headlights work. You're
Yeah.
supposed to know that your blinkers work. You're supposed to know that you have the right number of mirrors, which I believe is only actually one on the side. Because in the old days, and we still have a good classic car contingent, they didn't always have passenger mirrors. So you have to have at least one outside mirror and a rear view mirror. But yeah, you're supposed to know that those things are sort of street legal on your car before you put it on the road.
And you can be charged. You can be charged.
Absolutely.
Defective equipment,
Yep.
Wow.
They are known in California as correctable violations. On the street, they call them fix-it tickets.
Ooh.
Yeah. Or if your tag light is out, it's at night, well, we can't really see your tag, because some people steal these vehicles and they'll break out the tag lights so we can't see the license plate, But
see, in California, they just steal the sticker and put it on their car.
They do that also. Yeah, take the sticker off and put it. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
That's why you see some people, they'll take a razor blade and that decal, they'll cut it in the middle. So if somebody try to take it, they only get a half of it.
So that's very interesting, because I have not yet researched it, but someone asked me, is it illegal to cut it? And I thought, I don't know. And since I haven't researched it, I stopped cutting it.
I've never even thought about that.
Because it is a state document. It's issued by the state.
I would think that something's wrong.
And it is the type of thing that the statutes that say this is not to be altered, maimed, so on and so forth. That section may apply to your license tag.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
So I stopped cutting mine. I was just like, oh, now, the more you know. Speaking of the more you know, one of the things that people do all the time that's illegal, at least in California, is they drive with their earbuds in.
Illegal here all day.
That's illegal? No.
Yeah.
So Apple, when they give you the wired headphones, there's two of them, and people often wear both of them. It is illegal to operate a vehicle with two earbuds.
That's right.
You're allowed one, absent working in a vehicle that has a certain decibel level. In that case, you're allowed ear protection, which is not the same as stereo equipment.
Yeah.
So that you won't lose your hearing if you're operating, let's say, a backhoe or a cement truck or some other thing that is manufacturing type heavy equipment. But yeah, garbage trucks. But you see it every day on the road.
I was going to say, I see it all the time. They got the two earbuds in. It's like, oh, I never knew that.
And I have a lovely set of headphones. Shout out to my gift giver who gave them to me. And I often wear one ear on and one ear off. And as a personal habit, I wear the ear off that if you were driving by would be easier to see, so that if an officer pulls past me, he can see my ear.
Okay.
And now that I only have one ear covered.
Wow. And now, Officer G, you worked at the airport for many, many years, Atlanta being a very, very busy airport. Give us some do's and don'ts, because most people think they can just, they're waiting on grandma to come out, and, grandma might be moving a little slow. What are some of the things that you've seen in terms of?
Most airports now that I know of, they have a cell phone lot. That cell phone lot is designed so that when arrivals are there, you're not just waiting there, because a busy city, it can get backed up, and once it gets backed up, the traffic is so bad you can't do anything. So when they tell you, "Oh, grandma, I just talked to grandma's on her way," it could be another hour. It could be 30 minutes. Well, you call grandma, or you circle around, or you park in the cell phone lot. She just called again. You got to keep moving. It's crazy. But if everybody sat there, nobody could do anything. Traffic jam, gridlock. So
in some of the jurisdictions in California, they send out parking tickets for that.
Yeah.
Just like parking in the bus. The buses, some of the buses and some of the locations, especially near BART, have cameras. They just mail out tickets. Parking in the bus stop to let someone off, it's like $500.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
ouch.
And it comes in the mail, and there was no confrontation. You were in the bus lane.
Oh,
The bus pulled up, or somebody checked the cameras.
There's your picture. There's your tag number.
There's a
so,
picture. Yep, your
I
car.
recognize you going.
oh
And
my
because
gosh.
it's not a moving violation, they don't even have a picture of the person, the driver.
Oh, I was
Because it's
Ooh.
talking
not a
about
moving
these red
violation.
lights.
It stopped at the if you stop at the bus stop, they don't need to give you a moving violation. It can be a parking violation because you're stopped. Your car
You
is stopped.
blocking. You blocking. Yeah.
You're in the
Mm.
red. All of our bus stops are red, so you're in the red.
Okay.
So what do you guys recommend if you got to pick up grandma? You don't want her to stand out there and be cold. Like, what's the best way to
Give
do it?
grandma a jacket is cheaper than a parking ticket.
And grandma, call me when you're just about on the curb.
Right.
Call me when
Oh,
you're ready, not when you got
but,
off the
but
plane.
you gonna make grandma get her own luggage? I mean,
Yes, because
oh.
most of the time, grandma, what you should have done was order grandma a wheelchair, and the person who pushes the wheelchair will get her luggage and get her to the curb, and they
Correct.
can call you from there, and you can just pull in,
When
and then
they're
at that
ready.
point, correct me if I'm wrong, but when Officer G sees you pull out and pull up, open the trunk, and start loading the luggage,
You good.
then he's just gonna say, "Have a nice day." Am I wrong?
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Right.
It says actively loading.
That's why you open the
That's
trunk
the key.
immediately. Open the
Yeah.
trunk immediately.
Yeah.
Even because the other thing is, some people, they listen to the rules, they look at the rules, and they try to find a way around the rules.
Always.
Some people have a lot of stuff in their trunk. They can take some stuff out and put some stuff
Oh
in,
Lord.
and it looks like active loading.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I
If
see it
you're
all the
just
time.
sitting in the car, doop, 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 you're not
Oh.
doing anything but stopped and parked somewhere you're not supposed to be
Right.
stopped and parked.
I've seen it. We've seen it. Yeah.
Well, we have
Yeah,
a
I
couple questions.
appreciate that the people I pick up from the airport regularly, they know. They're on the curb. I swoop through. I play the song. They hear it. They get in the car.
Well, you guys chime in your questions, but we do have a question for you all. This is a good one. Okay. So Venice wants to know, can you get a ticket for a cracked windshield?
Yes.
Yes, Mrs. McKnight, you absolutely can get that for
defective equipment.
But okay.
It's a fix-it ticket, though.
Okay, Officer G, and I'm gonna let you go, Judge Lambert. Officer G, why would you want to pick on somebody with a cracked windshield? Maybe it just happened yesterday and it couldn't.
Well, you asked me, can you get a ticket? You asked me, can you? You can. It could have just happened. If it were me, I wouldn't.
Okay.
But that attitude, if you're okay, well, you can come to court and let the judge know that you got it fixed.
Okay.
Well, see, and here's the other thing. I think it also depends. If you're on the freeway going 100 miles an hour, I'm going to add that. I've seen situations where that cracked windshield is going to get added on. Now, if you're in the freeway and you are, let's say, a little old lady driving your little car very carefully, there's a good chance that the officer might just go, I'm not messing with grandma today.
Exactly.
Okay.
Have a nice day. Slow down.
Here's another question.
A warning.
Yeah.
The next question is, can you get a ticket for a broken side mirror on the driver's side?
It depends.
Yeah. Okay, Officer G, you go first. What do you?
I mean, and you could get it.
Well, you can always get a ticket.
You can always get a ticket. Whether it's right or wrong.
So it depends on whether you live in a state that requires 2 side mirrors or 1. If your state requires that you have 1 working side mirror, then as long as you still have 1, you're in compliance. If your state requires 2 and you don't have 2, you're not in compliance.
Oh.
One of the things that people forget about traffic laws is that traffic laws are strict liability. There's no, well, I didn't mean to speed. I meant to stop. I thought I stopped. It's you stopped or you didn't. your car works or it's not.
Mm.
And with the equipment requirements, it's about danger, right?
Okay.
So imagine that the windshield can sustain up to, let's say, 70, hypothetically, 70 miles per hour in impact. That crack might reduce it to 10. And it's entirely possible that at a 10-mile-an-hour accident, it could cave in and become a danger to you and other people.
Oh, yeah.
Side mirrors are so that you can see.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to, you're supposed to check your blind spot. Many people don't. So without the side mirror, they're just going to pull over into the lane next to them on someone
Oh,
without
God.
any opportunity to appreciate them if they don't turn their head.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so to go with that question as well is, so if that individual is pulled over, what's a good, Officer G, what would you accept if they just said, I'm having financial hard times, I couldn't afford it, or I didn't know? What's an acceptable where you might give them a pass?
Now that's a good question.
I'm reasonable. I'm fair. But number
Okay.
one on that totem pole is that attitude. Okay.
Yeah.
I've had a lady, I pulled her over for her tail light was out at night. She gets out of her car. She got out of her car.
Oh, dude.
Don't get out of your car. Okay. Then she starts screaming and hollering, and it's probably because you've probably had a bad experience with the police before. I mean, I've had a police officer say something to me before that was kind of harsh, you know. But at that point, it's their show, okay? So you might want to comply. So I told her, I said, ma'am, calm down. I just pulled you over just because, and your tail light was out, and I want you to know that. And she was looking at me like she was expecting for me to beat her down or something, you know? So you've had a bad experience with law enforcement. You never forget it. I mean, you just don't forget it. So all you see is that uniform. Oh, they're out trying to, do something to us, I just said, have a nice day, just go ahead and get it fixed. It'll be okay. And she looked at me like I was crazy because she was expecting something else. So when you've had a bad experience with law enforcement, it's something that stays with you, especially if it was real bad.
I don't think that people really quite appreciate that certain things create a danger. So I'll give you an example with the broken tail light. We call it white light to the rear. If your tail light is broken, then the red is missing. Let's assume the light bulb still works. Now you're emitting white light to the rear. That creates a danger to the driver behind you. That's why the lights are red in the first place, so that it's not as bright, so that they can see more.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. So your white light without any covering could cause someone else to not see something.
Oh.
It might impair their vision.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's deep. I never thought of
that people often don't think about. And also, I would say that it's not just that some people have had bad experiences. Bad experiences have been highlighted and distributed, but also the thing that people don't realize is that your whole bad day that was going poorly before Officer G lit it up, that's not his fault. Like the day you got fired, the day your girlfriend broke up with you, the day, that all these other things happened, none of that is information that Officer G has. He's just like, there's a broken taillight. It's a danger. You might not know. You'd be surprised how many people don't look at their cars in that way and check their equipment.
Wow.
And that also goes for the police also. The police had a bad day. Don't take it out on the person you pulled over.
Yeah.
Because you're just as bad as they are.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So be fair, be reasonable, make a good decision.
Every day, all day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, you guys make sure you put your comments and questions and they'll go back and take a look. But any closing words, anything you want to leave with us, Judge Lambert, anything, tidbits you want to share?
My tidbit is, the golden rule: treat others as you would like to be treated, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Whether you're on the side of the road with Officer G or you come into court with me, yelling, screaming, acting crazy will not get you very far.
Wow. Awesome. Awesome advice. Awesome advice. Officer G, any closing remarks you want to add?
Just be respectful and do the right thing. And remember, when the police pull you over, that's one of the most dangerous situations is a traffic stop
Mm-hmm.
and domestic calls.
Yes.
So a lot of things come off of a traffic stop. Yeah, maybe it was about that stop sign, but you pulled him over. He's thinking that maybe he has warrants on him. Uh, it could be anything. He could have just robbed a place, and you're, like, oh, it's your traffic light.
Mm,
No, it gets real serious. I mean, it can
Yeah.
get real serious.
It,
wow.
that is absolutely true. And what I like to tell people is there's nobody who goes to work that doesn't want to go home that day.
That's
Oh,
correct.
that's deep.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter whether you're in a courtroom or in a patrol car or working at Starbucks or Walmart or the Super K or supermarket. Everybody who left their house in the morning and went to work wants to go home.
That's
Mhm.
right.
That's
They
so
want to get
true.
back to their families.
Hmm. Oh my gosh, that's so true. Well, I'm going to share something personal with the viewers. I hope I don't put you guys on the spot, but how this all came to be. Judge Lambert is my sister. I'm so proud of her. I love you.
Thank
And
you.
Officer G is my husband. And so this is a funny story, you guys. So
More
my
importantly, he's my favorite brother-in-law.
so the funny story is my daughter graduates from college, and I have a judge and a police officer in the car with me. Okay. I don't break no laws, but anyway, the
What she
whole way there, it was a 2 hour drive, and I got the judge and the police
He's a
officer,
violator.
say?
and they just schooling me on the guard. So I love them to pieces, but oh my gosh, I don't know if anybody's ever had the experience with a police officer and a judge in the car with you, and they telling you everything. Wow, but I love them
Well,
to pieces.
some people with a police officer and a judge would have left earlier. For that 2 hour drive that happened in 90 minutes.
Y'all telling too
I'm just saying.
I'm just playing. But I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming on Let's Talk. I really wanted this to be informative, which it was, to share tidbits with our, people that just don't know. And I learned a lot. And oh my gosh, there's so many comments. Go Officer G, and of course there's Officer G, you correcting your comments, and Judge Lambert, proud of you. So, you guys, let's just keep doing what you're doing, and we need more like you in our community that fully gets it, fully understands. But at the end of the day, like you said, you got to be respectful and do the right thing. So thank you so much for coming on Let's Talk.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. You
Thank
guys
you.
got to come back. Mwah. Bye.
All right, see you.
Okay, you guys. So that was Officer G and Judge Lambert. Love them to pieces. So glad they came on. I hope you guys got a lot of that. And also, if you're watching this pre-recorded, they are definitely going to go back and they're going to read the comments and questions and address those that they can, of course. So, and then if there's anything you guys want a message to them or a question that you don't want to put in the comment section, just inbox me and I'll see if I can get it to them. Okay. All right, you guys. So as we close out the show, they talked about several things, and always be respectful, but always know, like Judge Lambert said, before you get in that car, look at the tail lamp, look at all the parts of the car so you won't get pulled over, right? So I'm going to leave you with this positive thought. And it basically says knowledge has power. It controls access to opportunity and advancement. And that's by Peter Drucker. And it's so true. Just not knowing can get you in a lot of trouble, but knowing can prevent a lot of stuff and can get you further in life. So always know that. And as I tell you guys every single week, make sure you do one good thing for one person and you can affect 365 lives. Judge Lambert coming on, sharing her knowledge, and Officer G, I'm sure that affected somebody's life to keep them to know that, okay, Let me do right. Let me be a little bit more respectful if I'm pulled over, just to know the law. So just pay it forward, if you will. If no one's told you guys that they love you, know that I love you. I thank you for tuning in and being here where we inform, inspire, and motivate. And stay tuned for the next couple of weeks. We're going to have a major announcement I want you to be a part of, and you guys will be going with me. That's a hint. All right. So with those parting words, I'm out.